What is up? We are live with another recruit reaction. We are here. I'm going to have Steve Wiltfong come in a minute, but Steve Wiltfong, national analyst here at Rivals, is talking with recruits now from this Ole Miss victory. We saw another top 10 team fall. One fell on Friday night in Florida State. Then LSU fell to Ole Miss just moments ago. We're tracking a couple other games. We're going to talk recruit reaction from Texas A&M after the Aggies get a big SEC win over Auburn. We're going to preview a massive visit list with Georgia-Bama. The game just started. You can see it behind me. Georgia already picked up 2 commitments on the day, so we're surely going to cover that. We'll talk a little Colorado as well as they get ready in Boulder for a packed game against BYU. Recruits going to be there, including number 1 quarterback Kavian Bryant. He's going to be in Boulder for that one. And we're going to talk a little Dre Quinn. Dre Quinn was the edge rusher that committed to Clemson right here on this channel. Remember, it was very special. He had his nephew or niece, and he brought her in, and she was wearing Clemson gear, and it's very authentic, and it felt good. But Dre Quinn, back on the market. He decommitted from the Clemson Tigers on Friday, and he's making a visit to an SEC program today. So I'm going to talk about all that with Steve Wiltfong. Now, Steve's in the background gathering intel, and that's what this show is about. We're going to talk a little football, but we're also going to talk about how it relates to recruiting, because some of these games have huge recruiting implications. I mean, we already saw commitments at Texas A&M and commitments to Georgia, and those games either just ended, just started. So it's a busy day. Week 5, it's almost in the books. Thank you guys for joining us. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comment section below. Where are you guys watching from? Were any of you in the stadium today? Or have you just been at home watching football, watching us, hanging out? We're going to get into this recruit reaction here in a second. But first, before we do that, hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. You won't find a better one. And let's bring in the great Steve Wiltfong. We just finished up watching LSU lose to Ole Miss, number 4 versus number 13, 19-14 in a pivotal SEC matchup. Steve, are you surprised that Ole Miss won this one?
No surprise. More surprised that Lane Kiffin would ever want to leave Oxford, a place where he is allowed to be himself, in a place where he has complete and utter job security for a program that he has competing for an SEC championship, which puts you in position to compete for a national championship. Ole Miss is a program under Coach Kiffin that has already had 3 10-plus win seasons. In Oxford, Hugh Freeze only had 1. They're trending for a 4th. They're recruiting at a high level. They had fantastic prospects on campus today. Maybe some jobs appear to be a little sexier, but not to me. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, the perfect marriage for his personality. And this was just a special win for them today. You could feel the atmosphere. It was the 4th largest home crowd in program history. Talked to Demarius Yates, running back commit, after the game. The environment's very lit. The crowd's going crazy supporting the team. And the season is showing that Coach Kiffin is a one-of-a-kind coach. He's putting a statement out there for everybody that Ole Miss is a force. He loves the place. So did a lot of these other recruits on campus. And again, you're going to see, Lane Kiffin attached to Florida. Why would he want to leave? He's got the Rebels are going to be consistently pushing for college football playoffs year in and year out. How could you say otherwise? I mean, when you look at Lane Kiffin's record at Ole Miss, I'm pulling it up right now. These are records that put you in the conversation. 10-3, 11-2. They would have made the playoff 2 years ago. 10-3, second in the SEC West in 2021. So he's got it ripping and roaring.
He does.
And this is a team. The quarterback room is stacked.
Yeah.
They had their top
today,
quarterback.
Out of his backup quarterback, Lane Kiffin from Trinidad Chambliss got 313 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 23 of 39. He was letting it rip. 39 passing attempts. Lane Kiffin believes in all of his quarterbacks like they're his starter.
This is a program that came into the game ranked high in almost every offensive category, struggling in the defensive categories. But in the biggest game of the year, Coach Golding and company, they hold LSU to 57 yards rushing, just 254 total yards. So Ole Miss gets a complete game out of their program. And I'll just reiterate what I've been saying. I don't know why Coach Kiffin would ever want to leave Oxford right now. He's got it as good as anybody right now in college football for a place that has a chance to compete for the college football playoff annually, and a place where he can build his reputation as one of the best coaches in college football. I don't think he has to go anywhere else. I think he can earn that respect at Ole Miss at a place where the scrutiny level is a lot less. We've seen some great coaches go to places like Florida and get swallowed up. Now, you could also go to Florida and win a national title like Urban Meyer. But I think in today's culture of college football with parity and everything, why not Ole Miss? Why can't they compete? You had Penn State, Notre Dame in the Final Four last year. Why can't Ole Miss make a run?
Yeah, and, I don't know if the chatter about Lane Kiffin, I think, understands what he has at Ole Miss. I think it's all coming from Florida fans themselves. I don't think
media's putting it out there. I mean, media's putting it out there, and there's credible media that says that he wants the job, and I would give them credit if it was if I knew if it was coming to mind, top of mind.
I don't think he's a fit. I just don't think Florida would go for, I mean, Florida fans would, of course. But knowing the Florida admin and who they've hired in the past, they've passed on Lane Kiffin before.
Look, he is in the perfect fit for himself right now.
Agreed.
So
I agree.
I think he should ride it out. I think he should stick with Ole Miss no matter what comes open in the offseason. This is a place where he can consistently win 11, maybe 12 games going into the playoff and win a couple more.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little recruiting impact here. You want to start with some flip targets, or do you want to start with the top 10 quarterback that's on campus?
Well, I just think that for all of those guys, Ole Miss proves that they can win the big game now in the SEC. That was another hurdle, right? They beat Georgia last year. Now they beat a top 5 LSU team, and they're in the hunt for they're in the hunt for the SEC championship. And then you talk about some of the guys that were on campus for Ole Miss today. Keegan Croucher, number 10 quarterback in the country, number 1 quarterback on Ole Miss's board. We need to add a number E to that, another letter E to Keegan. I just
Googled that
on his name. But they certainly know his name in Oxford. He's been there a couple times. I think Ole Miss is the program to beat for him right now.
Could we see a commitment from him coming out of here? And
they're trying to close him this weekend. Now he's got a Penn State return trip for the Indiana game. The Hoosiers are undefeated, went out to Iowa City, got a big win on the road. So that's going to be a massive ball game. He picked Ole Miss's game against LSU today over the Penn State whiteout tonight, but he went to the Penn State whiteout last year. His mom is visiting Ole Miss for the first time, so it's a big visit for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ole Miss is setting the pace. I think they were out in front. I think he's got a great relationship with Charlie Weiss Jr., Coach Judge, of course, Coach Kiffin. You have Jackson Dart, a first-round pick in the NFL, ready to play, going to make his first career start on Sunday. So the excitement around the Ole Miss program for that, talking about that. And then he was around a lot of these big-time recruits. They had terrific offensive linemen on campus, some of the best running backs in the country, some electric wide receivers in Keegan Croucher's class on campus, and Easton Royal and Keyshawn Bowman. So he sees a place that's got a chance to sustain success for a long time. And then in the 20 –
like I said, he just watched Ole Miss beat LSU with a backup quarterback that was ready to go and threw for 300 yards.
Mm-hmm. Kid that balled at Ferris State before coming to Ole Miss. I think he was going to go to Temple or whatever, but Ole Miss made a late push, got him to come into the room, and obviously high tides raise the ship. So him and Austin Simmons, those are guys that can really play football. Ole Miss got the number 21 class in the country right now in 2026. A lot of those guys were back on campus. I think this is a class, when you look at it, you got a running back, Demarius Yates, top 10 player at the position in the country. J.C. Anderson is an exciting tight end. Ole Miss has some sneaky good tight end tradition in Oxford, and J.C. Anderson has the traits. Landon Barnes, one of the best defensive linemen in the country. They already flipped Emmanuel Tucker from LSU, an in-state offensive lineman. Corey Barber's having a fantastic senior season. You can just picture him lighting up Lane Kiffin's offense down the road. They went up to the Hoosier State, landed Jet Goldsberry from Southern Indiana. He is one of the best two-way players in the country. His dad, John Goldsberry, had a cup of coffee in the NFL. Jet going to play that safety rover nickel type position for the Rebels. So really good class, and they want to add to it. How about Micah Smith? He's a Rivals 300 offensive lineman, or Rivals Industry 4-star that's committed to UCLA. Pops up on Ole Miss's campus. We told you on the Wiltfong Whip Around there were going to be a couple visitors that we couldn't talk about at the time. We talked about Dorian Barney, cornerback committed to Michigan. He was going to be on campus, but we said there was going to be a couple more. Micah Smith is one of them, out of Vero Beach, Florida, committed to UCLA. The way Ole Miss is playing and the way UCLA is playing, we'll see as some other schools emerge. But if it's just those two alone right now, you got to like the way it's trending for Ole Miss. Teron Richardson committed to Oklahoma out of Hopewell, Virginia. He's on Ole Miss's campus this weekend too, per Billy Embody from our Ole Miss site. So we'll see what develops there. But again, a fantastic group of prospects in 2027. A huge win against LSU, a team that was ranked in the top 5 in the country at home. Ole Miss proving they can win big ball games. Georgia last year, LSU this year. They're winning big recruitments. They could land their top quarterback target from this weekend. They could flip a couple priority recruits in 2026 to shore up that class, and they're getting ahead for some other elite players in 2027 and 2028. And so if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm loving life. We're recruiting the right kids. We're doing well in the portal. We're winning on Saturdays. We're a well-oiled machine. We're a team that you would say has a great chance to make the college football playoff this year. And so why would he ever want to leave?
All right, Ole Miss fans, Steve makes a great point. Talk to us in the comment section below. How are you feeling about this win? How are you feeling about recruiting? How are you feeling about Lane Kiffin? Are we talking about a top 10 Ole Miss program come Monday? We will see. Talk to us, comment section below. All right, let's head to College Station, where there was another classic SEC matchup between Auburn and A&M. It ends 16-10. Aggies get a big win. Auburn really enhanced their roster, but it kind of looks like the same Auburn offense that we saw struggle through last season. Pretty frustrated, I'm sure. I went over to Auburn Sports just to get a glance at the message board. They were pretty frustrated with the Auburn offense, but Texas A&M, they did what they had to do to win, and they hosted several number ones at their position. It wasn't pretty all the time. I mean, you had Marcel Reed and Jackson Arnold both throwing for no touchdowns. Only 207 yards for Marcel Reed, 125 for Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold wasn't efficient either. He was 18 of 33. Marcel Reed a little bit better at 15 of 22. But this is just one of those SEC games, Steve, where you just got to come out with a win.
Absolutely. And Texas A&M's defense played fantastic. I think that their offense made big plays when they needed to.
Yeah.
And so the Aggies getting another win, staying undefeated. Look, this was a program that was one win away from playing in the SEC championship last year. They have ambition for much more than that this year, Josh. They're 4-0. They got a win on the road at Notre Dame. Now they just beat Auburn at home. They're in the thick of it for the conference title. And they're in a good spot to ultimately make the college football playoff. And this is a weekend, one of those special home environments, massive crowd, and these recruits on campus felt it. They're in position for some big recruiting wins down the road. Yeah. They obviously had some flip targets in town. They did win a recruitment today.
Yeah, they landed a 2027 corner.
Yeah. So they were able to go out and land Hakeem Frampton, who's a corner from Arkansas that they love. He committed to Coach Elko pregame. Talked about the environment being the best and the defense crazy. Said he's thankful to be in this position. They had those elite 2027, several guys ranked number 1 at their position on campus this weekend.
Absolutely insane. The number of number 1 players at their position that all decided to visit the same school today. It's crazy.
Well, Texas A&M, they're a well-oiled machine on the recruiting trail, led by Derek Miller in that recruiting office. Every weekend, they don't waste a weekend at Texas A&M, whether it was the June weekends where they could bring in official visitors or the game weekends. They always have. It's not a throwaway recruiting weekend where they're doing favors for high school coaches, just bringing in prospects so they can take in a game day. They got guys on campus every weekend that they want to play for the Aggies. So they do a good job of getting top targets to campus, certainly for the big games. They really do a great job of getting those key targets on campus. They have the number 6 class in 2026. They're currently number 9 in 2027, but they're going to have a chance to finish number 1 in 2027. We'll see if they can grab some momentum right now for the number 1 defensive lineman in the country, Jalen Brewster. I talked to his dad on the phone shortly after the game. They're still there, but Texas A&M holding Auburn to 52 yards rushing yards and 177 total yards. You know, that was a dominant defensive performance there for the Aggies.
Yeah. Aggies have the number 6 class nationally in 2026, and they're looking to move into the top 5. And there was a prospect on campus this weekend where if they could flip him, they would be top 5. We're talking edge Anthony Tank Jones, committed to Oregon, but it's taken multiple visits to Miami this season, and now he's at Texas A&M. Steve, the Aggies were a real player for him when he committed to Oregon. What are their chances now?
Vols just get it done right now in overtime against Mississippi State, 4-1. Bulldogs 4-1. SEC is exciting right now, and A&M is one of those very exciting programs, undefeated. The investment, the resources being poured into the football team. Mike Elko as the head football coach, what he was able to do at Duke, making them competitive in the ACC. First year at Texas A&M has them on the brink of the SEC title game, going toe-to-toe with Texas in that last game of the season last year. Then they just are recruiting at a high level. Very important for Coach Elko and company. He's involved in the recruiting efforts. Obviously, they're competitive in modern recruiting, but they don't sacrifice old school recruiting. This Texas A&M staff, from the coordinators to the position coaches to the off-field staff, they build real connections with these recruits. This is a terrific off-field staff. It's an army. They just added Pop Cooney to Mason Smith, guys like that build great relationships with recruits. The coaching staff does a great job of watching film with these recruits, giving them tips for their games on Friday nights. The coordinators are heavily involved. And then Mike Elko has a relationship. And typically, if it's a modern recruitment, the Aggies can be very competitive on that front. Anthony Tank Jones, they were on him for over 2 years. He's an Oregon commit. He's keeping A&M warm. He's keeping Miami warm. Now, it might be tough to flip him. The Aggies were the runner-up, in my opinion, over Alabama when he committed to Oregon because of the scheme fit, how at home he feels in College Station, relationship with the staff, and then, again, competitive modern recruiting. So they got him back on campus this weekend. We'll see if it gets any more traction than that, but they've always been one of the favorites for Anthony Tank Jones. Another a young man committed elsewhere visiting this weekend was KJ Ford. He's committed to Florida right now. He reached out to Texas A&M, not the other way around. The Aggies have not been recruiting him. We'll see if that changes moving forward, but he is another 2026 prospect that was on campus this weekend that's committed to Florida right now.
Yeah, and I kind of see the Sharks circling around KJ Ford a little bit. I know FSU's a program that reached out to him, so we'll see what transpires here with some of these flip targets. But the Aggies, they get it done, 16-10. Like Steve said, great defense, a lot of great recruits on campus. Aggie fans, talk to us in the comment section below. How are you guys feeling?
We're getting a lot of Aggie reaction right now, Josh. I mean, it's pouring in. Didn't mean to cut you off, but I just, they had Cooper Witten, number 1 linebacker in the country there. They're battling Tennessee, Oklahoma, Clemson, and Ohio State. They're going to have a good shot to land Cooper Witten. Albert Simeon there, draped with family, number 1 offensive lineman, number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country. A&M could be leading that recruitment over LSU or Nebraska. Duvet Williams sent me a picture of him on campus with Frampton, Jalen Hill, and Madden Williams. Jerry Outhouse, the number 9 corner in the country, says Texas A&M and Oklahoma are standing out to him right now, and the recruits are gushing about it. Caden Johnson is a tight end, an Auburn legacy recruit. The Tigers are working to get in on an official visit and flip from Texas A&M. He said it was an electric environment. The stadium was rocking. The energy was high the whole game. The crowd was amazing as usual. Coach Elko and his staff have created a high standard, a winning environment, something that I'm very honored to be a part of. They are getting the right kind of athletes that would keep propelling the program to the top of college football. It's an exciting time in Aggieland. Quarterback commit Helaman Kasuga. He's not surprised by anything. The way they're playing is just confirmation for him. He's playing great as a senior. That was A&M's top quarterback target. He was fantastic at the Elite 11 finals, having a good senior year, a guy that Texas A&M fans should be very excited about.
Absolute thriller. Kyle Field was rocking, and it's not done for this Aggie program. We'll see if they could get some flips. They already got one commitment in the 27 class. We'll see what happens with some of these top 2026 prospects on campus. Aggie fans, talk to us. How you guys feel, and put it in the comment section below. All right. Now we are going to turn our attention to a game that is going on right now. Georgia versus Alabama, and this one's already resulted in a pair of commitments. Dogs land 2 commits in the pregame. Offensive tackle Kelsey Adams, the number 9 ranked offensive tackle in the 27 class, and another offensive lineman, Kyson Mallard. He's 6'5", 310 from Albany, Georgia. So there were some guys that were excited. They didn't even wait till the postgame, Steve. They just popped right before the game. So Georgia gets off to a good start. They're losing on the field right now, I think. I think they're down by 7, but Georgia picks up. What do you make of these 2 commitments before the game?
Well, the Bulldogs obviously have a standard on the offensive line, style of play. They like to own the line of scrimmage with big, tone-setting offensive linemen, and these are guys that have those traits that they possess. Kelsey Adams, one of the most sought-after players in the country at the position. Kyson Mallard, an in-state guy who's actually got a knee injury this year, so he's not playing. But he is someone that the Georgia was on early, and their recruiting class is off and running. And every year of the Kirby Smart era at Georgia, they have finished with at least the top 3 recruiting class. So it'll be no different in 2027. And a couple of pregame commitments for the Bulldogs to get the juices flowing inside Sanford Stadium for this big rivalry game against Alabama.
Yeah, and these Alabama-Georgia recruiting rivalries go deep. I mean, if you remember, Jake Fromm flipped from Georgia after Kirby left, flipped to Georgia from Alabama after Kirby left. Carson Beck committed to Nick Saban at one point. Derrick Henry flipped from UGA to Alabama. So this, there's a lot of history between these, and we got a couple flip targets on campus. There's 2 5-stars that were expected to be at the game. I don't know if they actually made it. We'll find out if they did. But Jordan Edmonds and Xavier Crowell, both commitments to Alabama, told you that, hey, they might make it to the game. What does that mean to you, Steve?
Well, Jordan Edmonds told me that he wasn't sure if he was going to go because he didn't want people to get the wrong idea. He would have to sit in the Georgia section, and he is locked in with Bama. And Xavier Crowell is someone that was always considered a huge Alabama lean. So that one was going to be a tough flip for them as well. But you shoot your shot sometimes and see what happens.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But there are some really important 2027 recruits on campus right now, including DJ Jacobs, running back David Gabriel Georges, Joshua Sam Appel. There is some big names on campus right now, Steve.
Yeah, Joshua Sam Appel is one they love. With 2 guys jumping in the fold today, I wonder if he feels like he needs to follow suit as well and capitalize on his scholarship opportunity with Georgia. He is someone the Bulldogs love. Top of the board, regardless of position. He's been over to Athens numerous times. They have a great shot to land him. David DJ Jacobs, the more college staffs I talk to, the more I hear he is at the top of their pass rusher board. Obviously, a Georgia legacy recruit. He's very high on Kirby Smart and Company's board. Hard to bet against Georgia, but Miami, Texas A&M, some of the programs trying to change that.
Yeah, and what do you think about Georgia? We got DJ Jacobs on. I believe he's the 2nd-ranked player in the state of Georgia. But what about LaDainian Guyton? We saw the Kirby copter fly into Savannah last week during Georgia's bye. But LaDainian Guyton is committed to Texas A&M. We thought Texas A&M was maybe unstoppable. But on Thursday morning, we learned that they're not. Cooper Hackett, the number one offensive tackle, flipped his commitment from Texas Tech to Oklahoma, and that's kind of been the first crack in that 5-star armor shield that Texas A&M has been building. Now I turn my attention to Damian Guyton. Have you heard anything about him maybe showing up at this game, or does he have any plans to visit Georgia this fall?
I mean, Georgia's certainly going to be a program to watch for LaDainian Guyton all the way through. And as we saw with Cooper Hackett, who said he took a good chunk less to go to Oklahoma, the hometown discount is real when you're playing at a high level and you can produce players. Cooper Hackett pointed to Bill Bedenbaugh, Oklahoma's offensive line coach, and his track record and how at home he felt around the players just because he had so many relationships. The guys from Oklahoma, a lot of that's going to be the same with LaDainian Guyton, right? And Georgia and his comfortability around the coaching staff, Kirby Smart, the track record of development, the games that they play in. LaDainian Guyton at the University of Georgia, you feel like is a great opportunity to maximize that opportunity to be the number one overall pick in the draft with the way that they develop their players at Georgia. So we'll see what happens. Some guys that are at this game, David Gabriel Georges, number 3 running back in the land. My prediction is on Ohio State.
Yeah.
But I certainly wouldn't sleep on Georgia. Tennessee's also very much in the thick of it. He loves the culture at Georgia, the way that the coaching staff recruits, keeps it real. They talk about greatness on and off the field. So he is a major visitor for Georgia this weekend as well.
All right, we'll talk more Georgia recruiting this week. Dog fans, how you feeling about the 2 offensive line pickups? Like Steve said, maybe puts a little pressure on some of the other targets for 2027, at least on the offensive line, maybe pushes them to make an early decision as well. Dominoes are falling fast. Talk to us. Who's the most important recruit on campus this weekend? All right, you want to talk a little Alabama recruiting? We mentioned that Xavier Crowell and Jordan Edmonds might be at this Georgia game and that it might not mean much. But what do you make of the visits of Cedarian Morgan and Nolan Wilson? Are those a little bit more significant than what we might see this weekend?
All guys that'll be a challenge flipping from Alabama, particularly Jordan Edmonds and Xavier Crowell. Those guys are saying as much. Nolan is just kind of making the rounds. Miami is a program that is certainly one to watch as they finished as the runner-up for Nolan in his process and how they coveted him. But Alabama was on him before he even had a profile on Rivals, inviting him to games, building a relationship. They were first to offer that trust, that connection. Alabama looks like they'll be tough to beat, but we'll see what happens moving forward. And then Cedarian Morgan, in-state product. We've seen Colorado pull off some magic in the past. They'll need magic to pull this off with Cedarian Morgan, but I think people around Boulder think they'll be in it till the end for him. I think around Tuscaloosa, there's a lot of confidence that he'll stick with the Tide. So Alabama, they do a really good job of connecting with their top targets and their recruits and their commits, making them feel comfortable inside the football facility. They believe in the trajectory of this program. And so I think it'll be tough to flip these guys as where things stand currently in the season.
All right. Some new offers went out this week because both Bama and Georgia were on a bye last week. So there were some new offers. I'm sorry, the offers went out last week. But here's who we're talking about. They're all 2026 offers, too. Jared Dowdy, he's the big emerging offensive lineman from Georgia that everybody in the country has now offered. He was previously committed to Georgia State up until about a month ago. Also, they put out a new offer to Corey Howard. He's a Georgia commitment from the state of Georgia. And Caleb Morris, I feel like everybody's been offering Caleb Morris. He's a Mississippi State defensive line commitment from the state of Alabama. Do you think that we could see any of these 3 end up signing with the Tide?
I think right now they still have some work to do with those guys. Now, they've had Corey on campus this season. And
yeah, I think that was his first visit to Alabama.
Yeah, try and be a needle in the side. But Alabama, they have a really good recruiting class right now.
Yeah.
This is a game for them tonight where they could really build some equity. Some of these elite 2027s that are there watching Georgia, visiting with the Georgia staff that could get a heck of an impression from the Crimson Tide. They're up 7 right now, so they're standing tall in that wild environment, and we'll see how they continue to play as the night goes on.
All right. Bama fans, talk to us. How you guys feeling about the season? I know the FSU game, it didn't start well, but Alabama's been playing better. Talk to us, comment section below. All right, let's talk a little Penn State and Oregon, because the Stars are out to watch number 3 versus number 6 in Happy Valley. We got a whiteout game, Steve, and we also have some major flip targets on campus.
Yeah, obviously that starts with 5-star offensive lineman, Oregon commit Emmanuel Ihenacho. I think it'll be tough to flip him from Oregon. LSU's another program that he's been keeping warm. Penn State, close to home, always had a lot of love for Coach Trotwine, the Penn State program, how they develop their players, the atmosphere and environment in Happy Valley. So we'll see where things can go from a modern recruitment standpoint with Manny Ihenacho. But Penn State is a program that he's keeping warm, and he is on campus this weekend.
Yeah. How does that work? I mean, does Penn State – does Emmanuel Ihenacho have to check with Oregon and let them know that, hey, I'm going to be on the Penn State sideline for this one? And then 2, does Penn State have any concern that Ihenacho might be recruiting for Oregon while he's there?
Well, Ihenacho doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to call Oregon or tell him anything. It's if you're Oregon, you don't like your commits visiting anywhere, but it's such a thing now. There's nothing you can do about it. And Oregon's going to bring in guys committed elsewhere themselves. You just continue to recruit them, maintain a strong relationship, remind them why he's committed. And I think the Ducks do a good job of that. They got Anthony Tank Jones back to campus a couple weeks ago. They're battling some other programs for him. Manny Ihenacho's keeping some other schools warm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like he doesn't have to call Dan Lanning and tell him what he's doing. It's a new era.
Well, then on the flip side, then how does Penn State know that he's not, a double agent working for Oregon while he's on the sidelines at Penn State?
All right. Well, they're not really big recruiting rivals. Very rarely do you have Penn State and Oregon going at it on the trail. And if it's Penn State, I think it's the risk you take. I mean, he's a kid from Baltimore. You have proximity going in your favor. He's been to your campus. He has shown genuine interest in your program. He has real relationships with your coaching staff. Even though he didn't pick your school, it doesn't mean that he's going to come in and knife your school moving forward. I think he's got a lot of love for Penn State, and it's a program he respects, and it's a place that he thought he could have a lot of success at. It's just Oregon checked more boxes for him.
I wonder if Dan Lanning – I wonder if Emmanuel called Dan Lanning and Dan Lanning sent him their recruiting board and said, yeah, sure, take that visit.
These visits have been known for a while, so Manny popping up at Penn State was a planned trip. So Oregon's certainly not blindsided. Probably happy to have them in the stadium watching them play tonight. They plan on going into State College and leaving with a dub.
If you're picking odds, who could flip him? Would it be Penn State or LSU? Who has a better shot right now, you think?
I think it's a tough road for both. So LSU was the runner-up the first time around. So if you're making me pick one, I would pick them. But I also know that Penn State came in strong on Luke Wafel. They didn't get it done, but they proved to me that they can come in strong on somebody.
Okay. We'll keep watching. Anybody else on campus at Penn State that's intriguing to you?
Yeah, a lot of guys expected. Carter Gooden, 4-star defensive lineman. He is committed to UCLA. He is a 2026 recruit of note. 5-star athlete Xavier Saab in the 2027 class. Him and his brother Amari Saab, 2026 athlete, visiting this weekend. The number 4 receiver in the country, Matthew Gregory. I think Penn State leads in that recruitment for him. They got some talented wideouts, Dakota Garant and Quentin Burrell back on campus. Elite corner, John Meredith. Xavier Sanz, another touted corner. Obviously, they're going to have a great shot at defensive end Anthony Sweeney from Good Counsel. A couple more offensive linemen, Maxwell Hiller, Oluwasa Malori, Olubadola from New Jersey. Those are guys that they're going to have a great shot at when their recruitments go on. So star-studded. These wideouts tend to build equity with recruits in the juniors and sophomore classes, and then they get these guys back for last bash and camps
Right.
and official visits down the road.
All right, let's talk about the late one tonight. That's going to be Colorado and BYU. And Colorado, we previewed this saying that they were bringing in a bunch of flip targets or some intriguing flip targets. But then this morning, or maybe it was last night, the number one quarterback in the 27 class, Kavian Bryant, tweeted that he would be in Boulder today on an unofficial visit. But it sounds more like an official visit. I mean, not that he can take them, only 26 recruits can, but he says here in this tweet, I will be at Colorado today and tomorrow for an unofficial visit. You can tell Kavian Bryant is nearing, or he's in decision-making mode, to where this isn't just a visit to check out a good game. I mean, he's here to see this program a little bit deeper than just the game, right?
Well, we've talked about it on Whitfong Whip Around, written about it. We expect him to make his decision this fall. He's been able to go out and see his top schools. He's built some meaningful relationships, would love to make his college decision, get back to completely focusing on his football and basketball development and helping recruit for the program that he chooses. And we talked about it this week on Whip Around that Colorado was a program to keep an eye on for Kavian Bryant. No surprise, no coincidence. He is visiting this weekend. He's been having a lot of dialogue with Colorado behind the scenes. Texas Tech got a rivals prediction machine from Sam Spiegelman and I this week, but Colorado is a contender. Florida State's certainly a contender. The Longhorns are in there. They hosted them last week. So we'll see what happens this weekend in Boulder. This is a young man that they would love to stack after Julian Lewis, right?
For sure.
As they continue to hand the baton over and over. This is a guy that they are very heavy on right now.
You said he's going out to see his top teams. Do you consider Colorado a top team?
I do. I got them in the top 5 right now, and we'll see where they stand following this weekend. A huge opportunity for the Buffaloes.
Who's in the Wiltfong, Kavian Bryant top 5? Because he hasn't officially announced the top 5 yet.
Texas Tech, Florida State, Texas, Colorado, top 4. Those are the 4 that I think are best positioned for Kavian Bryant right now. I could spit out a couple other programs that he's had high interest in or continue.
Maybe A&M? I mean, who would be?
Like a Baylor and SMU,
Gotcha.
Maybe some programs like that. But Colorado, there's no place in the country that is more fun to be if the Buffs get a big win. And if they can beat BYU in what is basically a standalone game Saturday night on TV, that place will be in a frenzy, be a big bounce back from the bowl game against BYU the year before to show the trajectory of this program. But that atmosphere, that environment, they know how to have fun in that locker room. If it warrants in a win over BYU, would certainly warrant a good time, and the Bryant family would be soaking all that in.
Yeah. All right. And Bryant isn't a flip target, but they do have tonight some major flip targets on campus.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if all these guys made it, but we were expecting Syracuse offensive line commit Javian Cooper, Pitt receiver commit Brian Hamilton, Tulane receiver pledge Braden Allen, Caleb Morris, the defensive lineman, committed to Mississippi State, and then Louisville running back commit Lakai Tompkins, who is a teammate of Colorado's newest commit, Christian Ward. IMG Academy has kind of turned into a AAA, a feeding ground for Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes. So we'll see if they can make a move for Lakai Thompson. Brian Hamilton's a receiver I think they're positioned well for. I think around Boulder, they like the way it's trending for Javian Cooper. Caleb Morris has also got a keen eye on Auburn. So we'll see how these weekends go. Braden Allen was at Oklahoma last weekend. That's who they're obviously battling to flip from Tulane.
All right, we'll be talking a lot more Colorado after this one, but an exciting week of visitors. Colorado landed 2 commitments this week. One of them was right here on the Rivals Recruit channel, which is why you should be subscribed, because Christian Ward committed right here. IMG wide receiver committed to Colorado on our channel, and you never really know when we're going to go live, but if you are subscribed, you get that notification, so Colorado fans jump on board. All right. Steve, I want to wrap this up with some major news that went down on Thursday. Dre Quinn, edge rusher, that was committed to Clemson. Actually, he made his commitment.
The University of Clemson University.
That's Clemson. That was his commitment. That was 2 or 3 months ago. Things change. And we have different views on this Dre Quinn decommitment, Steve.
We do?
Yeah. I saw the moment he decommitted, you put in a pick for Texas. Mm-hmm. And you're an insider. You got all the intel. I'm not doubting your pick. But when I look at it and I do the science on the surface, I see Dre Quinn making a visit to Tennessee 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of talk if Dabo's going to put up with that, if he's allowed to. So it's no surprise that he decommits less than 2 weeks later. See the predictions going in for Texas. But he is on Mississippi State's campus this weekend.
Yeah, I reported that.
I don't think he's there to see I don't think he's going to Starkville to see Mississippi State.
I think his ears are ringing right now from the cowbell.
Yeah, I bet they are.
Yeah.
But so if I'm doing the science, I'm leaning Tennessee for Dre Quinn.
Okay. Well, we'll see if he makes some trip or trips to Texas before.
Yeah, we'll see what pays off. You with the inside intel, the sources, the direct contact, and then me, I just got vibes.
Look, I'm not counting out Tennessee. He had a great time there for the game against Georgia a couple weekends ago. Loves their defense and coaching staff, and certainly the Vols are making things very enticing and exciting for Dre Quinn. The Longhorns were the runner-up, and there were people around that recruitment that thought he was going to go to Texas before he popped for Clemson. And Texas has never stopped on the gas. The relationship has remained, and the expectation is that he will visit Austin and get back on campus, and that the Longhorns are just as much in the thick of this one as any program that he has already visited this season. So we'll see what happens. But Tennessee can win big boy recruitments. They've obviously done that this cycle. Braden Rouse, they beat the Longhorns on. So linebacker recruit from the Peach State earlier this cycle. Texas gave them a run for their money, but the kid, Braden Rouse, went with Tennessee. Maybe Dre Quinn does the same. Obviously, they flipped Tristan Keys. They won for Faison Brandon. The list goes on and on. But my intel right now, Dre Quinn, and it still has a lot of love for the Texas Longhorns as well.
All right. So your pick, is it imminent? Is it a projection?
Projection.
Is it just a thought? Like, is there any timetable on Dre Quinn in another decision?
Projection right now, based on
it's good to know.
Informed intel. Yeah.
Because sometimes you guys put those picks in and then the kid commits the next day, and I'm like, oh, damn, of course. And then sometimes it's a prediction and you don't know when. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens with Dre Quinn. You think he pops up anywhere else, like beyond those two teams?
That's Chad Simmons had the news that Dre Quinn was reopening his process. I just know Texas is knee deep in it. Tennessee is a program he likes. And then obviously he's at Mississippi State right now this weekend.
All right. You guys are the real recruiting experts. Who are you going with? You taking Steve and his inside sources and his intel and all that? Or you riding with my vibes? Let me know. Where's Dre Quinn going? Let us know. Comments section below. All right. That's it. Week 5, at least it's not in the books. We're going to go home and watch some great football. But, Steve, it's been another thriller of a week.
Penn State up 3-0. Oregon just missing a field goal in that whiteout game. So, State College rocking right now. We'll see how this game finishes. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you on the Inside Scoop on Sunday, the Wiltfong Whip Around on Monday, and all over the Rivals.com platforms.